I got a soju in DR, the best soju. Yo, good evening. Today is the 28th of August at 9:14 p.m. I'm currently in the Dominican Republic. And today I want to talk to you about something that I've heard a lot about in the past. And that is traveling is expensive. Why do you think people say that traveling is expensive? I think it's because certain people have certain ideas on what traveling has to look like. And today's topic will focus more on what international travel can be like for certain people. There's a lot that goes into traveling, but mainly the main thing that comes up is probably going to be money. And if I add another one, it could be time off from work or your responsibilities. I'm here to say that it doesn't have to cost much to travel. I know a lot of people, when they think of the Dominican Republic, they think of the resorts that are on offer here. So if you don't know, that's typically on the east point of the island. That's in Punta Cana, and it's known for having resorts. Resorts aren't necessarily cheap ways to travel. I haven't seen the movie Euro Trip, but what I think of when people go to Europe or movies like Euro Trip is that people will travel to that region of the world and see a bunch of countries and do so by the lowest means necessary. So these two groups of people, right, resort goers and backpackers, if we call them that, are both able to travel, but do so by very different means. So travel doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be super cheap, but what it should be is always an enjoyable experience. What you find enjoyable is going to be what determines how much traveling has to cost. And maybe I can change your mind. The point isn't to change your mind, but to mainly show you a different perspective on what traveling could bring to you and why you might want to do it a little bit more than you do now. If you don't know, I'm an American, born and raised, and still living there, but I love to travel, and I love to use my passport. What motivates me to travel are a bunch of factors, but of them, I like to try like new food and like meet new people. It's not really a goal, but I just do it because I'm able to. And if you are, I think you should too. And don't let prices hold you back. So to get a bit more topical with what I'm talking about, I first started this venture. I live in Florida. From Florida to Puerto Rico. That flight costed me about $100. For a vacation overseas, pretty cheap. It was a one-way. But I was able to fly from my airport in Florida all the way to San Juan, Puerto Rico. And if you don't know, even though it's an international location, it's actually part of the United States. So customs isn't crazy. You don't have to do any special migration. It's just like flying to any other airport. It's just on an island now. So you get there, you get off the airport, and you're in a new country. A lot of Hispanic heritage and a lot of good-ass Hispanic food. I mean, from there, I would have had an Airbnb booked, and depending on how many people you're traveling with, that'll mainly determine the most expensive part of your trip, which is the hotel, or your accommodations, rather. Airbnb doesn't have to be a hotel. I'm currently in DR in a condominium. It's really a matter of what you make of it. But typically for me, because I've been to like almost 20 countries now across the planet, your living quarters is going to be where you spend the most of your money. But yeah, I mean, I think if you really sit down and give it a look, right, it may not be as intimidating as what other people say or what you say. And just think about, I guess, what you currently spend your money on now and how that could be used on other things. The topic of this video is traveling, but could be on other things too. But I know a lot of people spend a lot of money on eating at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, eating coffee and a bunch of snacks. Nothing wrong with it, but isn't that expensive? You know, I feel like things like that, are expensive. Things that we just buy without a second thought. They don't really bring us like a lot of immediate value, I'm no geek or nothing. I mean, I got the glasses, but I ain't no geek. But I do remember when I took a microeconomics class, there was this concept about marginal utility, and basically like a person in an economy will have an enjoyment that they derive from partaking in some sort of good, right? Like I buy a pizza, I love that shit. I like it because I haven't had it in a long time. If I have it every day, if how much I like something is a numerical value, what'll happen is I'll kind of like it less over time, to the point where I don't want to eat it no more, you know? But there's just some things that people just always need or always buy. And what comes to mind for me is coffee. I don't know what it is for you, right? Maybe it's like a weekend outing with your friends. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's like a certain dessert. I don't know about you, but I like eating out. And I can relate. But at the same time, I think everybody deserves variety in their life. And yeah, if you're an American or someone with a passport across the globe, if you've been thinking about traveling, it may not be that expensive. So to pick up where I left off with what I was saying, flight wasn't much money, mainly because it's a popular route from where I live, and it also isn't a long distance. But the hotel, I split it with a buddy of mine. I don't recommend traveling alone unless if you're either courageous or experienced. And if you have neither of those, it isn't the worst idea in the world. But travel with a buddy, split the expenses in half. You're able to stay in some places with Airbnb and potentially even Vrbo. I haven't used it, but these on-demand accommodation websites, a week for $500. I mean, you split that with someone else, that's $250. You know, not saying everybody has $250, but if you want to save $250, you can. And what I'm beginning to explain to you is to get there and to sleep there, you're looking at potentially spending about $350. This may not be the case for you, may not be the case for everyone. Also depends on the time of year. But we can all find money for the things we want to buy. And if you want to travel, then the first step is just knowing how much it could cost, you know? Pretty much, once you're there, at least for a lot of countries, because the American dollar is a very strong currency, but not the strongest currency in existence, everything else is so cheap, okay? Take, for example, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico uses the American dollar, if you're unaware. So instead of you having to worry about exchanging currency and doing math, because that happens in most countries because it's a new currency, you just show up with your money, your American credit card or US dollars. I just came from there, and I can tell you from experience, many places accept American Express, but not all. But if you have a Visa card, you'll be good. I personally use a Chase Sapphire Reserve or also an Amex Gold. But there are other credit cards that don't have annual fees that will give you a 0% fee on foreign transactions. If you want me to make a video on that, I guess I can talk about the cards that I use when I'm overseas. But in general, you can either use cash, you can use card, and you're buying food. I'm telling you, like a full meal for maybe $10 or less. Now, if you're thinking, well, that wasn't my experience, or that's not what I heard, it's all a matter of how you travel, right? Like I told you before, there's some people who, when they think of traveling, it's like, oh, I gotta be at a resort, or I gotta be at a hotel, or there's people like me who's like, hey, I'm gonna decide how much money I spend on where I sleep and how much money I spend on the airfare, so I can better control my expenditures when I'm overseas. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love to eat. I'm not like a big dude or nothing, but who doesn't like good food, right? But yeah, like being able to indulge in that without having to feel guilty about how much money you're spending on like your meals, because in the United States, it can be pretty expensive. Having that discovered, that epiphany, is hopefully what I'm imparting on you in the future, maybe not now, and maybe it gets you to travel. But it's fucking cool. So aside from eating, you get to meet cool people, like I mentioned before. And that is really up to the kind of person that you are. You could be an inquisitive person. You could be a person who's not so inquisitive. But one thing's for sure is when you find yourself in certain positions in life, whether it's an uncomfortable position or a comfortable one, you spend the time to just be out of your comfort zone, you know? you might be able to learn a couple things. It's kind of like the concept behind, kind of like the idea behind meditation. You spend that time away from all external stimuli like your cell phone or other people, and you just think and be with your inner thoughts. And I think even if you're comfortable, but you're in a different environment, it kind of brings that out in you. And at least it does for me. I'm working overseas right now. I'm in Dominican Republic, like I said earlier in this video, and this is a job where I can work from home. In my house, I tend to be pretty busy, pretty preoccupied with bullshit, okay? Like, it's not like I'm doing a bunch of shit. It's just like kind of used to doing certain things at home. I don't know if you can relate. But when I'm overseas and I'm on vacation, I want to like work more. Maybe that's weird. Maybe it's not. But that's me. Maybe you know yourself, but I think you'll learn more about yourself or learn yourself when you go overseas and you put yourself in positions where you got to be a little bit more uncomfortable. And I think that's something that everybody should invite in their lives. Not for a specific reason. It's not to say that, oh, you're going to get this out of this, you're going to get this out of this. But I think having new experiences and memories with either yourself or people you care about who you want to bring with you on these trips is worth having. Moral of the story, doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It only costs as much as you want it to cost. And so long as you're not, I guess, choosing like a European country, because the euro is a little bit stronger than the USD right now, you'll typically have a pretty easy time eating quality food, okay? I'm not just saying like bullshit. I'm saying quality, fantastic, great tasting, in this case, Latino food, comida criolla, for not much money. Especially as someone who lives in the United States who can easily travel to Puerto Rico. But any audience abroad who may not have an issue traveling to Puerto Rico or some other nearby country, again, just like with anything in life, it's all a matter of what your budget is. And if you want it, you can have it. You just got to approach it a little bit intelligently. So let me know in the comments if there's anything I could do to better help you understand anything that I've talked about, anything you want me to elaborate on. Make a couple videos if you'd like for that kind of topic, or just answer in the comments. But thanks for listening. If you made it to the end of the video, it's my first one, kind of off the cuff. But yeah, it's my shit. I'm passionate about it. I like to travel. And yeah, second country. I'm going to a third this Saturday. Catch you in the next one, I guess. I don't know. What do people say for this kind of shit? Like, I don't know. Yo, I got a soju in DR. A fucking grape soju. The best soju, all right? If you don't know, now you know. Deuces. Take it easy.